Good afternoon, everyone, and I hope you'll had a good lunch. What we're trying to cover this, I mean, you can see the topic. It's how is AI going to be inspiring the next journey of commerce? Okay, now we see that a lot of consumers, they've stopped. I mean, from search they have moved on to discovery-first platforms, and given that AI has been in the center of all this, we want to see how brands are adapting to that. What are partners, agencies, how are they adapting to that, and what are they doing to make this journey more seamless going forward. So we'd like to start off. Thank you to all of you for being here, and the way people have been now using digital has changed. Earlier it was search-led, now it's more discovery-led. People want to be inspired, and hi, Saugata. So, and there are a lot of, now there is an environment which is outside of the walled gardens, right? And that's where a lot of AI is getting evolved. I mean, a lot of things happening. Wanted your thoughts, just a minute or so, on what you think is this change and how exciting it is for you guys. I'll leave it open to.
All right, so hi everyone. So I think definitely one of the key changes that have happened is that, initially I've seen a lot of ads which put a search button and say search for this keyword, and it was an assumption that search is a starting point of all intent perhaps, right? But what we are seeing now is that brands are reaching out. There are so many new brands that reach out to us on the platform of our choice. I mean, take the simple short form video consumption, and there are influencers talking about the product, So somewhere there is a lot of data and science in play in such a manner that I believe we live into algorithms. One is when you open your, let's say, Instagram, there is an algorithm that the world is following. So happens to be like today you will see a lot of Superman posts because the movie has launched. Intuitively people have been seeing about it, and then there are that segment of posts which are very specific to you, like if I'm looking for some furniture, if I'm looking for let's say Superman merchandise, I intuitively start seeing more of them. So today it's no more about like the classic thing of awareness, interest, desire, action, purchase, loyalty. Today it's evolved decision journey. You're looking at multiple touch points, and every touch point, so it's not even a reality where, you just do an advertisement or TV or digital, predominantly search, and you feel your job is done. You have to be present everywhere. And, one of the things that I always mention, even if you take 10 touch points, there are 3.6 million unique paths to purchase. So in that complex environment of reality that we are living in, a brand has to be present everywhere. So discovery platforms are playing a major role, and that is where a lot of D2C brands, that is where a lot of new entrants, not necessarily established D2C brands, are reaching out to consumers because they have understood their browsing, they have understood their scroll behavior, they've placed them in buckets, and cookies are not dying anymore. So, there is that cookie level data that is hugely at play, clubbed with the device level data. I think fabulous. I mean, I discover a lot of new brands. I don't mind investing in new brands, and it could be something as simple as perhaps even taking a leather belt to all the way to a high-end device. I'm game.
Raktim, yes.
So what I feel is that search and AI, right? It's not one or the either. They are not married, right? So when we do a search query, let's say on a Google or on any other ecosystem, there is an AI generated result also that appears. In fact, right now I think globally about 30% of all queries are having an AI generated summary, and in another 2 years it is estimated that almost 70% of that summary of results would be AI generated. So there are three parts to this whole equation. One, the user. And user, in fact, there was this research I read some time back which said that in India, at least, people, almost 60% of the people are trusting AI agents with a lot of personal data, which means something like, I earn X, I spend Y, and I have Z amount of money left to invest. And I have this particular goal. where should I spend, and entire financial planning being done by AI agents, right? So, or query can be, I want the a black T-shirt with a Pink Floyd logo, which is in pink, that kind of descriptions are going. And what's happening is, the AI agents are searching the web, possibly ranking the best investment, tools available, or they are ranking designs which for people to buy. So it has moved beyond just SEO results or ad-driven results, right? So from SEO, it is now AI optimization, right? So again, then on the end of the platform, how you describe your product, right? For the AI to pick your product, how you describe your product, it's no longer just about keywords or backlinks. It's the whole description has to be something which the AI picks up. Now that's where comes in writing product descriptions or headlines or images which are more in tune with what AI would pick up, right? So yes, it is touching all, the entire funnel is now has been touched by AI. So yes, I think these are exciting times.
Interesting. Anyone else wants to take? Yes.
Firstly, sorry for being late. It wasn't planned, I can assure you that. I just miscalculated the timing. Apologies for that.
Not at all.
So I think some very interesting points that have been made. I'd just like to add one more thing. And Shelton, I think you spoke about proactive discovery, right? So the way I have been looking at it, right? Proactive discovery is basically a prediction-based suggestion, right? And in addition to what the fellow panelists just said, consciously, if we try to bring the demographic and the intent data together, one big outcome that I see coming out of this journey is for us to be able to shorten the purchase cycles. Just think about it. Demographic and intent mapped together with the predictive suggestions coming in, the ability to make a decision to, whether large ticket size or a medium ticket size, depending on the degree of involvement, I think the purchase cycles can be significantly shorter. So the role of marketing, and depending on the category the brand is in, role of marketing, I think, will be further strengthened to become an active line of business rather than what we are currently seeing. So it's good times ahead, I would say.
Interesting. Very interesting. Yes, well, please.
I think the first thing that I would say is that to the audience here is that you should definitely try searching for the same topic on the choice of your AI recommendation tools. So whether it's OpenAI, Gemini, please do type in the same topic back on the search engine and it will give you a fairly elaborate answer. When I was driving down here, I was just checking if I had to really see what AI has to say about this topic, what would it say? And it was fairly provocative in that sense. So it was recommending a few things that the fellow panelists have already said. So it is fairly evolved in terms of what it is able to process and share with consumers, right? So if I had to just go back to what the fellow panelists said about the three components, right? There is the user, there is the platform, and there is an advertiser. So there are three players in this piece, right? From a user standpoint, I think the fundamental behavior pre-AI would have been search, discovery, browse, shop. If I would say that that's the linearity of how people would behave. And in a post-truth era, which is the post-AI era, you would look at potentially discover, browse, shop, or search, discover, shop. Right? Is that if that's it will obviously replace one of the element in the user journey, right? And it's different based on what is your intent and what you are looking for, right? And this is applicable across general search engines or walled gardens, right? And that's how these things are evolving. What the X factor in this is the fact that AI is able to look at the context pretty well, and hence the cognitive load on the consumer could be reduced drastically with the help of AI, given the fact that it's kind of aggregating your past history, your intent, location, what you've searched in the past, what's trending. So it's using its own brain to kind of muster up something for you, and the cognitive load of the consumer to go through a whole lot of things is kind of reduced. in that sense. So that's a clear win for the consumer. On the platform side, which is the second stakeholder, right, which is to say what's changing. So more and more AI is getting integrated in the search journeys, right? So even if I'm going to a quick com platform, if I'm trying to search milk chocolates, there is a role of AI in all of this, right? In terms of the algorithm, in terms of how the results are coming through, etc., and how can I use AI to influence, those start points. As a manufacturer or as an advertiser, I would say that the intent of search or the need for search isn't changing per se, but I think the role of AI within search or the dependency of AI or the factor of AI into search is going to be a critical thing to watch. It's going to be hand in hand, it is what I do believe. Yeah.
Interesting. So I think one takeaway would be shortened turnaround times when it comes to, and obviously with AI, the learning is going to be more cross-learning in that sense. Great. So, sorry for that. But yeah, Bhavya, to you. See, in your industry, shopping decisions have long been very personal, right? It's a look and feel. With AI now, everything is changing. So how do you see, or what would you do as a brand to adopt this change and still keep it more relevant, the discovery more relevant, and also leading them to then possibly go and take some action from there?
Hello everyone. So first of all, the hair oil category is highly personal and sensory category. So it's very important for us to be that engaging or personal. So AI is helping us to do that. Whereas example is whenever anyone buys oil, they either look for recommendation from a friend, mom or dadi, nani, right? So using AI, we are able to create those moments in a more visual and personal ways. For example, if I keep one messaging for all pan-India, people wouldn't be relating to it. Rather, I'll use AI and create those moments, recreate those moments in a more personal and a visual way. For example, everyone knows how AQI or weather impacts our hair, right? So what we did was, in our recent campaign, where what we did was, we created certain messages wherever the AQI is going worse or if the weather is going beyond 35 degrees, we showed them a certain messaging. That why don't you check your hair quality and see how weather is impacting you or not. It was personal as well as impactful. So people were relating to it. And eventually we got last mile data as well because we took them to quick commerce. So it gave us good results as well. So I think we should move away from selling to guiding and inspiring customers using AI.
Interesting. So guiding, inspiring, and then leading them to discovery and purchase. Great. Thank you. Hiba, to you. Inspiration first commerce is particularly relevant for you guys, right? So in the Soul Store, where pop culture meets personal expressions, right? Now, in this case, how would you use AI to, again, inspire your customer and then possibly go ask him to go and engage with your brand, see relevancy, and also take some action?
Yeah, interesting question. I think in the context of search, right, so we use AI across the funnel. From how we make our creatives to how we target our customers via our advertising channels, etc. But coming to your question in more of a search context, the important part is discoverability for us. So as a brand, first I'll just talk about Soul Store a bit. So we have about 8,000 products, right? And a lot of our customers relate us to pop culture, relate us to, as you said, Superman, things like that, right? However, 50% plus of our revenue actually comes from non-merchandise products, right? So one critical thing, especially like our marketing, which is more of like a business team, right? Looking at connecting the right person to the right product, discoverability within D2C becomes very critical. So one way of looking at search is, you know, in the search bar, what you type, but the important implication of search is what are the results, how are they ordered, what are you seeing at the top, etc., right? Because nobody is going to scroll. So scroll depth of a customer is also limited. I can no longer show 1,000 products to a customer and have them filter on, you know, how many parameters. And as you rightly said, right, it increases cognitive reliability on the customer's end. So we want to take away that effort. We want to sort of make it easier for customers to arrive at the product of their liking or their choice. So in that aspect, sort order, right? That's what we call it internally, which is how you are going to see the products populated on the page that you land on, becomes a matter of search, and it becomes way easier now that we have AI guiding this, right? So how this would work is very similar to what you said, Bhavya, right? There is demographic inputs that go into it. Obviously, like as winter approaches, winter doesn't hit every part of India at once, right? So it's going to be colder in some regions. So I would want to show them more full sleeves. I would want to show them more sweaters and categories that cater to that weather. There's also personalization that comes into play, which is to say that if a person has been browsing more of, say, DC or Marvel, right? I'm sure the room will also be split into that. But yeah, so there's going to be like, even within merchandise, there's going to be a certain inclination that people have towards a certain fandom. So can I factor that in? Can I factor LTV in, AOV, right? Like how much is the spending propensity for a customer? And whereas we were doing this pre-AI and, you know, AI has just helped us do it faster. It's made it more responsive, and it's enabled us to map so many data points, right? So if I search for a black t-shirt and if you search for a black t-shirt, right, we are going to see different things. So that is to do with the sort order and how I'm seeing things and how my cataloging is taking place, right? Which, think of it like a digital sort of superpower, right? Because when you go in a store, the store layout isn't going to change. But that's an interesting challenge for us because now we're thinking of how do we make this omni-channel? How do we make a customer experience in a physical space more personalized, right? So what we're exploring right now is an AI shopping bot that sort of like guides your experience. Tira has this at some of their stores. And I think the second part, and I have a habit to go on and on, so please stop me. Yeah. So the second part of it, which is contextual, someone mentioned this, right? You know, people are no longer searching for a black t-shirt. People are searching for party outfits. They're searching for what do I wear to Goa, right? So AI needs to understand those contextual searches. People no longer want to. There was a time on Google we had to type plus, if you all remember, and put things in quotations so that it considers that keyword. People are no longer interacting with technology that way. Native Gen Z users are talking to technology as if they would talk to a friend, right? Asking for financial advice and saying that, hey, what's the best thing for me to wear? My skin tone is this here. Uploading a picture suggested to me, right? So contextual searches, and nobody wants to talk to a brand. People want to talk to people, right? Amazon just launched Rufus. We are thinking of doing something like that. It's obviously not at a stage, at least in India, it's still coming and evolving, and every 6 months it's becoming twice as smart, right? So that's a journey for us, but it's always interesting because it adapts, it self-adapts, and yeah, it's interesting. Like if we're having the same discussion next year, I'm sure we'll be at a different level.
Sure.
Yeah,
I think one good thing about what I've got to know now is I should go and check out the Soul Store for your kind of, the kind of population that you're fitting. Ved, this is for you. And so with Mondelez, you've been building strong brands with, you know, really emotional connections, right? And over the years. Now, what role do you think AI will bring in? And, you know, for you to deepen this love with your customer, because your creatives have been excellent over the years, right? And, you know, how are you going to inspire them to possibly have more stickiness to your brand in the AI world and driving them to then take some action in commerce where you, because most of them today sit at home and, you know, shop for that kind of thing.
So I'll dealing two questions, AI with commerce and AI with creative content, right? So Yeah, I think we've been successful, in terms of leveraging AI because we know, at least we're trying to understand what AI can deliver, right? So AI today is really good with understanding patterns, understanding large data sets, the ability to crunch data pretty fast, or also to reproduce in a quick way. However, what it does not do for now, I mean, this technology is evolving, and what we believe right now is that the human nuance and emotion is something that potentially is still understanding, because you still see a lot of occasions where what AI is producing may not be the right output, given the fact that it may not understand the cultural context and sensitivities of what we are aiming to achieve. And hence, I think we try to marry both the power of AI, which is essentially the ability to kind of process data and then put out things faster, and the ability to then think of what AI can do. So if you look at some of our campaigns like Silk Story of Us, where AI could reproduce about 500,000 unique videos for users, right? And if I had to employ a production house to kind of do that, it wouldn't have been possible, right? Or creating 1 million unique songs for Cadbury celebrations, right? Unique or personalized songs for their siblings. So now the technology itself becomes a cherry on top, and not the core need to use AI. The need to use AI is to kind of elevate the campaign experience for the consumer and not bring AI at the heart of the idea itself, right? So if you have a gem of an idea, how does AI kind of elevate this piece with, some of the capabilities that it inherently has? So that's the way that we are using AI for, driving sort of increasing personalization, increasing consumer connect, etc., etc. Right? So that's the bit. On commerce, I think the role of AI is still evolving and it's still fairly limited from a Mondelez standpoint. But essentially, we are trying to leverage AI in the area of how we deploy our search and how we deploy our display campaigns. So I think those are the pieces where we see immediate sort of use cases. And we're still in the test and learn phase in terms of how we want to use AI with commerce. But that's the broad direction.
Interesting. So I think for you guys, it's still the product is still the core, and you're just using AI to amplify it at the top.
Absolutely. I think the storytelling and the ideation is still core to how we build our campaigns. AI becomes a mechanism to elevate and enhance it, right? Yeah.
Rohan, there's a growing expectation for content to feel more personal, right, and relevant. Now, at Havas, you're at the helm of things, and you work with a lot of brands across in your category, right? How do you see the role of AI now in the content discovery place? Also, with terms of how do you see them balance? You also have to balance relevancy. So, content has to be relevant to that user when he's ready, right? And in that, you also have to build the trust of your consumer, because the content has to be right, showed at the right time. And where do you see the role of AI there?
Yeah, so I think AI is purely not a trend for at least most of us, like me and people within the same agency ecosystem. I think it's a responsibility multiplier because, there are tools to solve most of the problems, whether it is putting your minutes of the meeting for the client or putting a dashboard together, or it is the platform's algorithm in play. There was this famous saying that, content is the king, and, I would just want to also add that, trust is actually the crown at all of this. So I think for us, we have a concept called meaningful AI. Three things are extremely important when we work with brands. First is be very focused in terms of what needs to be activated. Second, agnostic. I don't think you need to be very focused on A tool versus B. Whatever is best suited under the guardrails of how data is processed, that becomes the second most element, and R is the responsible for us. So I think these three things that we do and inform the client whenever we are activating any form of AI on our clients. Algorithms have a play, and I think a lot of walled gardens themselves, their platforms themselves are AI enabled to ensure that it reaches out to the right customer. But what we have been doing very recently, we've worked on this entire operating system, which is now called Converged AI. We are trying to simplify this. The challenge, what happens for a lot of brands is they are looking at all the data pointers in 10 different dashboards. Like you will look at your GA separately, you will look at your Facebook separately, you will look at insights from GWI separately, similar web data separately. We are trying to build a tool, in fact we have, where there is a consolidation of all the tools happening on a single platform. So you get your insight, whether it is third party or first party data, which the client gives you. All the tools are integrated on the platform, and when we have the right cohort for any of these segments, then we have an ability to push it directly to any of the execution platforms that we all are familiar with. So I think that becomes the core of how we think, plan, execute when it comes to the work that we do for our brands, because there is a lot of ownership that we have, and we feel that we need to be more partnered rather than purely being executional in nature. Coming to the discoverability point, the one narrative that we have always maintained is it can be any platform. We are I mentioned the term agnostic. I think it's important to tell the brands where all they need to be present based on the insights that we get from available tools, whether it is syndicated or proprietary, to say where their investment needs to be. And I think brands are very open to kind of go ahead and take this recommendation. Today is not a day and age that only two walled gardens take the 100% share of your investment. They do realize, whether it is e-commerce, there needs to be tools that help identify a cohort, have the right creative time, place, like the example of whether if it's winter or if it's like a colder, locality, and if the IP perhaps triggers that, having a full-sleeved thing makes contextual relevance. This, if humans start doing it on every creative, it becomes impossible to execute. So rely on platforms, and I believe a lot of platforms today say that don't create too much of personalization or too much of cohorts, making people feel that there's too much of surveillance on them. They might feel either ways, but the campaign definitely delivers. So it's a very ROI first market. AI is going to be critical. Discovery across multiple platforms is extremely critical. And we are also evolving with the evolving trends as they come up.
Great. So I think your openness, I think, for you guys to experiment on new platforms and keeping it as relevant as possible for your clients.
Any agency has to be extremely transparent because I think the world has become transparent. People are aware, so we do that absolutely.
Thanks. Saugata. So Tata Communications is a leader in digital transformation, right? And this is globally. You guys have been working with a lot of brands globally. How do you see this, the leverage of AI to create seamless and personalized experiences for brands across platforms? So this could be omni-channel, so it could be a TV or wherever. So what is your take, and how do you see this evolving?
So, see, that's a question that can be answered either in a B2B parlance or a B2C parlance, but let me try and create a middle path and talk about the customer stroke consumer as an individual, right? Now, the fact is that irrespective whether it is a walled garden interaction or it is an open garden interaction, the customer leaves information behind, digital footprints behind, right? Personally, and over the last 1.5 years, my team and I, we've been doing a lot of work around this area. The way it's emerging is that to create this omni-channel experience which is meaningful, relevant, and contextual at the same time, agentic AI is increasingly coming as the way to go, right? And I'll try and explain why I'm saying this, right? Now, agentic AI essentially, obviously, as we all know, is all about creating these agents on the LLMs which help us, deliver on certain workflows, right? But increasingly so, there is an ecosystem of agents, AI agents that is getting created organically as well as by design, which have the ability to communicate to each other, right? Now, whether it is a walled garden environment or it is something like Glance, right, which sits outside the garden, but has its own AI models working in it, with the use of the right SDKs or APIs, as the case may be, if we are able to get the agents to talk to each other, then irrespective which platform the customer is engaging with the brand on, or even discovering or researching, which as the case may be, I think the experience can be seamless. And when it moves into a phase of from discovery into actual experience or a post-sale experience or a customer experience scenario, then this conversation gets further elevated because then it comes into an actual delivery model, right? To give you a slightly older use case, before these smart contact centers came into picture, you would have called any bank, and every time you were rerouted to another customer service executive for whatever reason, you would have to start from scratch, right? Now these smart contact centers came into picture. Your previous conversation history, your transaction, everything was recorded. It was shown to an agent on the screen. And depending on their levels of training, right, they were able to pick the conversation from where you left it off, right? Whether it's a call drop or a second call or whatever. Now imagine that same situation getting transponded into the world of agentic AI. Right, I was on Glance, I saw some content, I interacted with that, post that I moved into, let's say, Google or Meta or any other walled garden infrastructure. If the Glance AI agent can talk to the AI agent that is sitting for me made by me in the walled garden infrastructure, if the two can exchange information, imagine what happens to me as a consumer. The journey just continues, right? You don't have to start afresh. And that's where I think the point that Ved made about the cognitive overload and the various other discussions that have been centering around contextuality, relevance, and aiding the decision-making process, I think that's when the true omni-channel experience is going to come into play. And hence, as I said, whether it is B2B or B2C, as a consumer, as an individual who's set out to make a buying decision or a learning decision, I think that is where it will all come together and actually become meaningful for the audience.
Very interesting. So I think the agentic AI, the discussion around agentic AI is going to be very critical going forward in making this journey more seamless. Raktim, so I mean, your agency has been at the forefront of shaping a lot of media strategies for brands, right? What are the key elements you would see AI can play in transforming or giving you better strategies or helping you build better strategies? And getting right outcomes for them using these AI tools?
See, I think, AI today is everywhere, okay? So it's not just what. The agency ecosystem or an agency is made by people, right? So the first step is to enable and, your culture within your agency has to be very AI forward. So that's one step we have really taken very strongly. And, we are really training our people in becoming more AI forward in their day-to-day working, okay? So once that happens, now let's come to other things. We are increasingly using AI and this is, as Rohan just said, transparency becomes very important, right? So transparency, as an agency, you have to be very transparent, right? The fact that generative AI can help you create copy or generative AI can help you create imagery, on the right. That has to be married with analytics, right? Predictive analytics. When you are managing a huge set of products in a particular campaign, with the help of inbuilt ecosystem inbuilt AI, there's a lot you can achieve. For instance, Google Performance Max, it is already an AI-driven tool that is at everyone's disposal, right? How much are your people really using that, right? Then comes predictive analytics optimization level, right? Which products, which SKUs can perform better? There is a predictability of those things, right? So the analysis of that, because people who manage accounts are not always thinking like that. But when you train your people, the whole ecosystem becomes AI-led, and then you can really make a difference end to end, right? So it is the culture which drives this AI thing, and this is something which we are really, because everybody will get all across the industry, we will see people building their own AI tools, getting outside external AI tools. That is easy. The culture, as long as is more AI enabled and AI forward, it will progress and evolve.
Very nice. So I think for you guys as an agency, when you're trying to ensure that your systems are built to talk to each other across brands and across clients to give you the best result.
Yes. Systems and people, as I said,
people,
right?
Yeah. Great. I think that's it. I mean, we have time for that. And thank you so much. And I hope you guys enjoyed this panel. and all the insights that come in from there. And really appreciate all your time, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for moderating this.
Thanks, Shelton.